The Grand Bank of Sleepy Hollow stood tall and proud. It was a grand building with marble floors and high ceilings. People whispered about its history. They said it was haunted. Inside, tellers counted money. Customers waited in line. Everything seemed normal. But something felt wrong. The air grew cold. A woman screamed. Her scream echoed through the bank. Papers flew everywhere. Money danced in the air. A cold wind blew through the room. People gasped. They looked around, confused and scared. What was happening? The wind picked up. It howled like a banshee. The lights flickered. Then just as quickly it stopped. Silence fell over the bank. But the fear remained. Something was very, very wrong. A figure formed in the air, slowly taking shape. It was a sight that sent shivers down the spines of those who witnessed it. The air grew colder, and a sense of unease settled over the room. The figure was dressed in old-fashioned clothes, reminiscent of a bygone era. It was as if time itself had paused to allow this spectral being to emerge from the shadows of history. It shimmered, transparent and eerie, casting an otherworldly glow. People whispered among themselves, their voices hushed with fear and curiosity. "Is it a ghost?" someone murmured. The figure seemed to float above the ground, its presence both mesmerizing and terrifying. The whispers grew louder, a chorus of disbelief and dread. The ghostly apparition was unlike anything they had ever seen before. It was the ghost of Barnaby Blackwood, a notorious banker from the past. Barnaby had been known for his greed and ruthless business practices. He had amassed a great fortune, but his wealth had come at a cost. Many believed that his spirit could not rest because of the wrongs he had committed in life. Now, he had returned, his ghostly form a reminder of his insatiable greed. Barnaby had a score to settle, his fists clenched in determination, his ghostly form radiating a sense of purpose. He had been wronged, and he would not rest until he had his revenge. The air around him crackled with energy, a testament to his unyielding resolve. Barnaby's eyes burned with a fierce intensity, a reflection of the anger that had festered within him for years. He wanted his stolen fortune back from the bank. The very institution that had once been the source of his power and wealth was now the target of his wrath. The bank's walls seemed to tremble in the presence of his ghostly form. Barnaby's spirit roamed the halls, searching for the treasure that had been taken from him. He would stop at nothing to reclaim what was rightfully his. His eyes glowed red with anger, a fiery beacon in the dim light of the bank. The intensity of his gaze was enough to make even the bravest souls quiver with fear. Barnaby's anger was palpable, a force that seemed to radiate from his very being. His red eyes were a warning, a sign that he was not to be trifled with. The ghostly figure moved with purpose, his every step echoing with the weight of his fury. He would get his revenge. Barnaby's expression was one of pure menace, his ghostly features twisted with rage. He had been wronged in life, and now, in death, he sought to make things right. The bank's employees and patrons could feel his presence, a chilling reminder of the consequences of greed and betrayal. Barnaby's vengeance was a force to be reckoned with, and he would not be denied. He raised his ghostly hands, summoning the power that had lain dormant within him for so long. The air around him seemed to pulse with energy, a tangible manifestation of his anger and determination. Barnaby's hands glowed with an eerie light, a sign of the supernatural forces at his command. He was ready to unleash his wrath upon those who had wronged him, and nothing would stand in his way. Money flew off the counters, caught in a whirlwind of ghostly energy. The bank's patrons watched in horror as the bills and coins swirled through the air, a chaotic display of Barnaby's power. The ghostly figure stood at the center of the maelstrom, his eyes fixed on the treasure that had been taken from him. The sight was both mesmerizing and terrifying, a testament to the strength of Barnaby's will. It swirled around him, caught in a ghostly tornado. The money seemed to dance in the air, a chaotic ballet of bills and coins. Barnaby's presence was the eye of the storm, a calm center amidst the swirling chaos. The ghostly tornado was a manifestation of his anger and determination, a visual representation of the power he wielded. The bank's patrons could only watch in awe and fear as the spectacle unfolded before them. His laughter echoed through the bank, a chilling sound that sent shivers down the spines of all who heard it. The ghostly figure's laughter was a haunting reminder of the power he held, a testament to the strength of his will. Barnaby's laughter was a declaration of his victory, a sign that he would not be denied. The sound reverberated through the bank's halls, a chilling reminder of the consequences of greed and betrayal. It was a terrifying sound, one that would haunt the memories of those who heard it for years to come. The bank's patrons and employees could only watch in horror as Barnaby's ghostly form continued to wreak havoc. The eerie sound waves seemed to linger in the air, a haunting reminder of the power of the supernatural. Barnaby Blackwood had returned, and his presence would not be forgotten. Section 4. Specters and Screams. The ghost attacked. Security guards tried to shoot, but the bullets passed right through him. He laughed, a cold, hollow sound. They couldn't stop him. He threw objects with his mind. Computers smashed against the wall. Chairs flew across the room. People screamed and ran for cover, but there was nowhere to hide. Barnaby was enjoying himself. He reveled in their terror. He would make them pay for stealing his fortune. He would make them suffer. Section 5. Trapped in Terror. Customers huddled together, terrified. The air was thick with fear and the tension was palpable. Every creak and groan of the old building sent shivers down their spines. They clung to each other, seeking comfort in the presence of fellow victims. The ghost walked through walls, his eyes burning into their souls. His presence was an unrelenting force, a reminder of their helplessness. The ghost's eyes, like fiery embers, seemed to pierce through the very fabric of their being, leaving them paralyzed with dread. He was everywhere and nowhere at the same time. One moment, he was in front of them, the next, he was behind. His ability to appear and disappear at will made him an omnipresent terror, a nightmare from which there was no waking. A young boy cried, clutching his mother's hand. His sobs were the only sound in the oppressive silence, a heartbreaking reminder of their dire situation. The mother, though terrified herself, tried to soothe her child, whispering words of comfort that rang hollow in the face of such overwhelming fear. A woman fainted, her face as white as a sheet. Her collapse was sudden, a testament to the unbearable stress they were all under. Others rushed to her side, fanning her and calling her name, but their efforts seemed futile against the ghostly presence that loomed over them. The ghost's laughter echoed in their ears, driving them mad with fear. It was a cruel, mocking sound that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere, amplifying their terror. Each peal of laughter was a dagger to their sanity, pushing them closer to the brink of madness. They were trapped with a vengeful ghost. He was unstoppable, invincible. His wrath was like a storm, unyielding and merciless. The realization that they were at the mercy of such a malevolent force was a crushing weight on their spirits. Their hearts pounded in their chests. Each beat was a thunderous reminder of their fear, a drumbeat of terror that echoed in the silence. They could feel their hearts racing, the adrenaline coursing through their veins, a primal response to the danger they faced. Would they escape this nightmare alive? The question hung in the air, a silent plea for salvation. They scanned the room, looking for any possible escape, but the ghost's presence seemed to block every exit. Desperation clawed at their minds as they realized the full extent of their predicament. The hope of rescue seemed distant, almost impossible, as the ghost's laughter continued to echo around them. Section 6. Sirens and Shadows. Sirens wailed in the distance. The police had arrived. They rushed into the bank, guns drawn. But how do you fight a ghost? The ghost laughed at their feeble attempts. He vanished into thin air, only to reappear behind them. He was toying with them, enjoying their confusion and fear. Their bullets passed through him harmlessly. He was a shadow, a phantom. The police were out of their depth. They needed help. Section 7. The Unsolved Case. This is a tale that has baffled investigators and haunted the town of Sleepy Hollow for years. It all began on a cold, foggy night when the first signs of the supernatural made their presence known. The FBI arrived, their faces grim. They had been called in after local authorities were unable to explain the strange occurrences at the Grand Bank of Sleepy Hollow. The bank had become a hotspot for paranormal activity, and the townspeople were terrified. They brought in their best equipment, EMF readers crackled, the air was thick with an unexplainable energy. The agents meticulously scanned every corner of the bank, hoping to find a rational explanation for the disturbances, but the more they investigated, the more perplexing the case became. Cameras caught blurry images of the ghost. The footage showed a spectral figure moving through the bank, its form shifting and flickering. It was as if the entity was aware of the cameras and was toying with the investigators, but nothing could stop him. Days turned into weeks. The ghostly presence persisted, defying all attempts to capture or dispel it. The townspeople grew more anxious with each passing day, and the FBI agents were running out of ideas. The ghost continued to haunt the bank. The FBI was baffled. They had encountered many strange cases before, but this one was unlike anything they had ever seen. The ghost seemed to have a personal vendetta, and it was relentless in its haunting. They had no explanation, no solution. The agents held countless meetings, brainstorming and theorizing, but every lead turned into a dead end. The ghost of Barnaby Blackwood was a mystery that refused to be solved. The ghost of Barnaby Blackwood remained. Barnaby was a notorious figure in Sleepy Hollow's history, a man whose life was shrouded in secrets, and whose death was equally mysterious. His spirit seemed to be bound to the bank, driven by some unfinished business. He was a constant reminder of the unsolved mystery. His presence was a chilling testament to the unresolved past, a ghostly figure that loomed over the bank and its employees. The fear he instilled was palpable, and it affected everyone who entered the building. He was a warning to those who dared to cross him. Barnaby's ghost was not just a passive presence, it was an active force, a warning to anyone who might try to uncover the secrets he had taken to his grave. The message was clear: some mysteries are better left unsolved. The Grand Bank of Sleepy Hollow would never be the same. The haunting had left an indelible mark on the town and its people. The bank, once a symbol of security and prosperity, had become a place of fear and uncertainty. The legend of Barnaby Blackwood's ghost would live on, a chilling reminder of the unsolved case that still haunts Sleepy Hollow.